Welcome back to our project, the handheld video game. In this lesson, we're going to be creating the LCD opening. Let's begin by hiding plane 1. We'll also hide extrude 1. Let's create a new plane. We're going to offset it 6 millimeters from the top plane. OK. Right-click, New Sketch, Normal to. Let's make sketch 1 visible. Now hold down the Alt key and rotate the sketch. Let's insert a rectangle here. Next, we'll insert a construction line. Bottom left corner to top right corner. Right-click and select to exit the tool. Now let's Shift-select the construction line and the origin point and add a midpoint relation. Let's apply dimensions. 50 millimeters this way, OK. 30 millimeters this way. OK. Let's apply a 2 millimeter fillet on all 4 corners of the display. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And OK. Let's exit the sketch. I'm going to insert one more plane, offset from the top plane by 11 millimeters. OK. Right-click, Insert Sketch. And let's activate the Rectangle tool. Construction line corner to corner again. Right-click Select to close the tool. Shift-select the origin point and the construction line and add a midpoint relation. Let's dimension the rectangle now. 65 millimeters this way. OK. By 42 the other way. OK. Now let's add a 3-point arc. Right-click Select to close the tool. Shift-select the center of the arc and the origin point. Add a vertical relation. Let's dimension the arc now. Radius value 215 millimeters. OK. Right-click Select to exit the Dimension command. Convert the line to construction geometry. Lastly, I'm going to apply a 5 millimeter sketch fillet to all 4 corners. And one more. Click OK. Now we're ready to exit the sketch. Let's insert one more sketch on the top plane, another rectangle. You'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. Construction line corner to corner. This should be old hat to you now. We're going to Shift-select the line and the origin point and add a midpoint relation. Now dimensions. 73 millimeters this way, accept. Let's insert a 3-point arc. Second arc. I've created the arc so that the center of the arc is visible on my sketch. Right-click and select to close the tool. I'm going to select the center points of both arcs and then Shift-select the origin point and add a vertical relation. OK, and let's apply dimensions now. The radius value for this arc, 220 millimeters. OK. This radius, 120. Accept. Right-click and select to exit the Dimension tool. Let's Shift-select these 2 curves and add a concentric relation. OK. Now let's convert these 2 lines to construction geometry. And OK. Lastly, let's activate the Sketch Fillet tool. I'll apply an 8 millimeter fillet. Let's do it to all 4 corners. And OK to exit the Fillet tool. Our sketch is fully defined. Let's exit the sketch. Here are the 3 sketches that provide the basis for my model of the LCD opening. Even though all 3 of them are different sizes and shapes, each one is divided into 8 segments. And of course, there's a good reason for this. It's going to make it easier for us to create the loft. Now we're going to project sketch 6 onto our surface. Let's go to Insert, Curve, Projected. Projection type, Sketch on Faces. Let's select sketch 6. And let's select our face. Take an isometric view and click OK. Let's hide planes 2 and 3 now. I'm going to create 2 more sketches that I'll use as guide curves. Let's start with the spline tool and place it right about here. Right-click and select. Now let's shift-select the first point of our spline and the last segment and add a pierce relation. OK. Shift-select these 2 entities and also add a pierce relation. OK, and let's adjust the position of this point a little bit. Let's exit the sketch. Now let's insert a sketch on the right plane. Activate the spline tool. Right-click and select. Let's shift-select curve and point and add a pierce relation. And another pierce relation here. OK. Let's adjust the position of this middle point. OK. And let's exit the sketch. Take an isometric view. Click in the graphic area outside the model to deselect everything and activate the Lofted Surface command. And let's select our profiles to Loft. And for guide curves, let's select the 2 sketches we just created. There's one, and here's the other. Here's our preview. If you want to adjust the connectors, right-click and select Show All Connectors. With the connectors showing, it becomes clear why I created the sketches for this display with 8 segments apiece. Notice that since we have 8 segments on both sides of the loft, the connectors were automatically created in the right places, and we've got a nice smooth surface here. Let's activate the Trim Surface tool now. Mutual trim type. Let's select our trimming surfaces. And now selections to keep. And click OK. We need one more lofted surface between this sketch here and this edge. However, when I try to mouse over this edge, notice that it's one continuous edge. Let's try to create the loft to see what happens. I'll select this point and this edge in about this area. Let's right-click and show all the connectors. Notice how the connectors don't end up in the correct places. We're going to adjust these a bit manually so that our surface is smoother. Now that I've repositioned them, you see in the preview that the surface is smoother. This is certainly one way that we can create this loft. However, let's cancel out of this loft. Let me show you an alternative. Let's expand Surface Loft 1. Select Sketch 5. Right-click and Show to make it visible. Now we've got a sketch with a corresponding number of segments to use for our loft. Activate the Lofted Surface tool. Let's select this point and this point. Here's our preview. Let's right-click and show the connectors. See how our connectors are positioned perfectly and that the surface is much smoother. Let's click OK and accept this loft. Lastly, we're going to add a planar surface right here. Click the Planar Surface tool and click OK. We'll use the Surface Knit tool now to bring all of the surfaces together. Let's make the selection from the design tree. OK, and let's take an isometric view. Our last operation, it's time to cut our solid. Let's bring back Extrude 1, right-click, Show. And let's go to Insert, Cut, with Surface. Select the surface we just created. Let's flip the direction to cut, and click OK. Let's right-click and hide the surface. And this concludes our exercise about creating the LCD opening. As you can see, our model is taking shape. We're going to pick up from here in our next exercise.